I just wanted to kind of see like if you were in good spirits.
You know, this is like a box of hell.
Lil Durk has never hidden how tough jail life is, but now fresh footage shows just how bad things really are, and fans are worried. Word on the street is Durk's enemies are closing in on him behind bars. Let's break it down. The viral footage paints a grim picture. Locked up at MDC Los Angeles, Durk is stuck in one of the most notorious facilities in the country. Judges have literally called it Barbarica Place, plagued by suicides, violent attacks, and corrupt guards smuggling in contraband for Durk. That means every single day comes with danger, not just from his ops, but from the jail itself, and with the long list of enemies he's made over the years, it's clear life inside those walls is anything but safe. One of the most circulated phone calls making the rounds online is Durk speaking with DJ academics, giving fans rare insight into his mental state as he faces life-changing charges.
I've been good, man, mentally, spiritually. I've been on top of my...
That statement, delivered with that signature Durk composure, shows the mentality that's kept him solid through every storm in his career. But underneath that tough exterior is a man wrestling with the possibility of spending the rest of his days behind bars, separated from his shorties, his Queen India Royale, and the music empire he's been building for over a decade straight. The conversation gets deeper when Durk starts expressing gratitude for all the prayers and love he's receiving, while also keeping it a stack about how harsh federal detention really is.
This is like a box of hell. You know, we don't get no news, no talk, no nothing. If you don't call or somebody says it to you on the computer, it's a wrap.
These words paint a cold picture of that isolation that comes with federal time, where any word from the outside world becomes more precious than gold. But what's really showing growth is Durk's discussion about his spiritual journey while locked down. The rapper, who's been getting more vocal about his Muslim faith, talks about learning Arabic from other inmates and staying committed to prayer and religious study.
I ain't really on too much of nothing, bro. I don't even be thinking about the outside.
I see your father, like, you know, he was speaking about you, and you know, it brought me back to the conversation we had.
This spiritual awakening behind the wall mirrors what we've already been seeing in Durk's recent move string to balance that hard-earned street credibility with messages of peace and community uplift. Even while incarcerated, Durk has reportedly pushed a message of peace through his Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, though some partnerships have been cut off because of these charges. But let's be real, Durk ain't facing this federal nightmare solo. The viral footage and phone calls also highlight that multiple members of his OTF collective are locked up right alongside him, basically signaling the complete collapse of one of Chicago's most influential rap movements. Durk was arrested with 5 co-defendants, all OTF affiliates. Shit. With the same conspiracy charges and staring down the same potential life sentences. One of the most important names is Kevin London Grant, better known as Cuz or Vonnie. At 28, originally from Chicago, but repping Atlanta, he's described as a high-ranking F associate, and one of Durk's Day One's prosecutors allege he played a central role in coordinating the logistics of the alleged murder-for-hire plot-buying ski masks, renting cars, and even supplying straps, with one reportedly converted to full auto. The feds claim Grant even used Durk's card to book the hotel room for the crew and flew to LA with Durk on a private jet just a day before the shooting. Right now he's in federal custody in Illinois, waiting to be shipped out to LA. Another major figure is DeAndre Dantrell Wilson, aka DD. At 33, he's also from Chicago and described as the guy who handled the money, and travel prosecutors say he helped book one-way flights from Chicago to San Diego for the alleged hit squad using Connected. Funds then arranged their drive into Los Angeles, and the fact that these were one-way tickets, that's chilling, suggesting the crew either didn't expect to come back or planned to vanish after the hit. Wilson, too, is locked up in Illinois. Federal custody. Other OTF affiliates, Boogie Brown A's and Flakar, also behind bars for the same operation. And here's where the tragedy really sets in, that these dudes were all arrested in Chicago on October 24th, 2024, just days before Lil Durk himself got bagged in Florida while allegedly trying to flee the country. The timing makes it clear. Federal authorities coordinated a full-blown takedown, scooping up the alleged conspirators before moving in on the man they claim was pulling the strings. But the incarceration of F members doesn't stop at this one federal case. The spotlight on Durk has brought an avalanche of heat, and several other affiliates have been caught up in separate busts. On August 2nd, 2025, Funa was picked up in Chicago on burglary, murder, and body disposal charges, a brutal case involving the killing of Oscar Oz Cruz, whose body was allegedly dumped in a church after being shot 17 times. While this appears separate from the federal plot, it piles onto the already staggering legal weight crushing the crew. Around the same time, Boon Mo, another F artist and close Durk collaborator, got jammed for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. He's been sitting in custody since facing serious time if convicted. Meanwhile, DJ Bands Durk's official DJ and longtime producer was also arrested in August 2025 for marijuana possession and a probation violation tied to drugs found during a routine check, small in scale compared to the others. But still another blow to the OTF machine. And it ain't just the crew catching heat. Durk himself has been accused of breaking jail rules. In May 2025, prosecutors dropped evidence showing Durk used at least 13 other inmates' phone accounts to make unauthorized calls, including three-way conversations. A judge called it blatant disrespect for the rules, which completely torpedoed his shot at pretrial release. Even with a proposed $5 million bail package that included house arrest and private security, the court wasn't buying it. The prosecution's argument was sharp. Durk can't follow basic jail protocols. How can he be trusted to obey release conditions? This violation would be just the first of many leaked communications that eventually surface online, creating a goldmine for social media users and hip-hop commentators. The Fed's master plan, wires, snitches, and life sentences. At the heart of the federal case against Durk are allegations as wild as they are detailed. Prosecutors claim Durk wasn't just beefing in the street. She was orchestrating a calculated multi-state conspiracy. The narrative: Durk allegedly offered cash and music industry opportunities to OTF members in exchange for carrying out a hit. Quando Rondo authorities paint this as anything but a spur-of-the-moment decision. They say it was a coordinated assassination attempt, fueled by serious planning, major bread, and a network of players operating across state lines. The investigation uncovered disturbing details. 5 associates allegedly flew from Chicago to Los Angeles on flights booked with Durk's own credit card, stayed in hotels under his crew's names, and then attempted the hit using multiple firearms, including one equipped with a machine gun conversion device. Federal prosecutors backed this story with an avalanche of evidence. Over 2,000 pages of documents, financial and travel records, surveillance footage, and the most devastating piece, a confidential informant who had been wearing a wire for years, secretly recording conversations that prosecutors say tie Durk directly to the plot. But maybe even more chilling than the Fed's evidence are the communications emerging from Durk's enemies while he's behind bars. In one viral video, an individual claiming to be one of Durk's ops makes a direct threat that shook the internet, showing just how real and dangerous this situation has become, not just in the courtroom, but in the streets.
Because if I get home for him, I'm gonna kill his kids.
Stop playing with me. You just say if you get home before him, you gonna kill his kids. Come on, gang.
Hey, it is what it is.
Come on, gang. You been jail
I hope he get home.
100,000
I'm
years.
praying. I need him to get home.
Come on, gang.
This threat against Durk's shorties illustrates just how deadly serious the street conflicts are that federal prosecutors allege motivated the murder for hire plot. The identity of the federal government's key informant has become one of the most discussed aspects of the case in hip-hop circles. The case heavily relies on evidence from a confidential informant within who reportedly wore a wire for several years to gather incriminating recordings and details linking Lil Durk to the plot, while rumors and reports widely identify this informant as Jam, a longtime member who was released from prison in 2022 after serving a 12-year sentence for attempted murder. The informant's identity remains officially undisclosed. In public court documents, the story of this alleged informant adds a layer of betrayal that has the hip-hop community shook in a resurfaced 2023 interview. Jam credited Lil Durk for supporting him financially and emotionally during his incarceration, including sending money and referencing him in lyrics. The contrast between this public gratitude and the alleged cooperation with federal authorities has created a narrative that reads like a modern-day betrayal saga. Straight out of the trenches, hip-hop analysts have been breaking down the implications of this informant situation with unprecedented detail. In one particularly insightful analysis, content creator Hood Educated explains the significance of the federal strategy.
This co-conspirator who was unnamed. Check it out, right? This how cold-blooded this unnamed co-conspirator is. Let me show you the power of this unnamed co-conspirator. He offered money. Not only that,
The analysis continues to reveal the methodical nature of the federal investigation and how they've built their case around this cooperative witness. Footage leaked in October 2024, showing Jam eating McDonald's during an interrogation. Glancing at the camera sparked online memes and jokes about him. Snitching for a Big Mac, while this may seem like internet humor, it reflects the serious breach of trust that such cooperation represents in hip-hop culture where keeping your mouth shut when the law comes around is considered a fundamental principle of the streets. The federal investigation has also revealed disturbing patterns of alleged criminal behavior that extend far beyond the Quando case media personality. DJ Academics, who has extensively covered Durk's legal troubles, explains the broader context of law enforcement's interest in the rapper.
When Durk gets caught in a shooting with Vaughn in Atlanta, detectives from Chicago travel to Atlanta just to testify in a pretrial hearing just to keep him in jail.
This reveals the multi-jurisdictional effort that has been targeting Durk for years, suggesting that the current federal case represents the culmination of a much longer investigation. Academics continues to explain the persistence of law enforcement's pursuit.
The reason why they did it, they even admitted, the detectives, they said, we've been trying to get this money. We couldn't get him. Remember, he caught 3 gun cases.
This admission by law enforcement officers demonstrates that Durk had successfully beaten serious criminal charges multiple times before making his current federal indictment all the more significant from a prosecutorial perspective. Meanwhile, Durk's own mindset about the severity of his situation has been captured in another leaked jail communication, where he demonstrates a concerning level of bravado despite facing life imprisonment.
I don't fear nothing. Chill, death. It is what it is, like, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I got a brain. I know how to move, and I know what not to say.
This statement, while showing Durk's mental toughness, also exposes the very street mentality prosecutors say fueled the alleged crimes. Durk's defense team, led by high-profile attorney Drew Findling, has been aggressive from the start. In April 2025, they filed motions to dismiss the indictment, arguing that prosecutors relied on shaky evidence, misrepresented lyrics, circumstantial claims, and misleading presentations to the grand jury. One major win for the defense came just a month later. In May 2025, prosecutors filed a superseding indictment that completely removed all references to Durk's rap lyrics. The move reflected growing recognition that using lyrics as proof of criminal intent is legally problematic and has been blasted by legal experts and civil liberties advocates. But despite that victory, Durk's renewed bail request was denied on May 8, 2025. The judge cited leaked jail calls and other violations as proof he was a flight risk and a danger to the community. That decision was especially significant because it came right after the prosecution's case had been weakened by removing the lyrical evidence, and the feds didn't stop there. The case has revealed a broader scope of federal interest in OTF's activities. In December 2024, Durk was linked but never formally charged to another alleged murder-for-hire plot in Chicago involving Stefan Mack. Prosecutors also claim he placed bounties on rivals and even a witness's family member. This pattern, they argue, cements the idea that Durk poses a serious threat to the community. The timing of his arrest only added more fuel to the fire. When the feds finally closed in, Durk was reportedly trying to flee the country Customs and Border Protection flagged him for booking international flights to Dubai, Switzerland, and Italy. He was caught near Miami International Airport just an hour before his Italy flight was set to depart. Prosecutors have used this as hard evidence of consciousness of guilt. As the viral jail calls and leaked footage circulate online, the public sees more than just a rapper behind bars. They see a father of multiple children, a fiancé to India, royale, and the leader of an organization that employed dozens of people. The outcome of this case doesn't just decide Lil Durk's future, it will shape the lives of everyone tied to his family, his empire, and his legacy. With mountains of evidence, leaked communications, and the alleged betrayal of longtime associates, the defense faces an uphill battle. Every new filing, every new leak makes the road to freedom look steeper. Reports show just how wide this alleged conspiracy runs. Painting a picture of an organization prosecutors argue functioned as both a music label and a criminal enterprise straight out of the trenches. But to really understand why Lil Durk now sits in a federal detention center, staring down life without parole, you have to understand the bond that tied him to King Von. A brotherhood so deep, prosecutors say it pushed Durk to risk everything in one of hip-hop's most devastating revenge plots. Blood Brothers, the bond that started a war. The viral jail footage of Lil Durk reveals more than a criminal case. It exposes the weight of loyalty, the kind that goes beyond music and business. For Durk and Von, this wasn't just an industry partnership, it was mentorship, family, and brotherhood woven together by the unforgiving streets of Chicago. King Von, real name Davon Daquan Bennett, was more than just another OTF signee. He was the embodiment of Chicago drill's raw authenticity. Storytelling, graphic, cinematic, and unfiltered turned street experiences into vivid narratives that set him apart, even in a genre built on realism. When Durk first met Von, he didn't just see another street dude trying to rap. He saw undeniable greatness, a rare talent that couldn't be faked or manufactured. In one of his most revealing interviews, Durk broke down the moment. He realized Von was different, describing it as a deliberate choice to put him on not just a casual cosign. That decision changed both their lives forever. For Durk, Von wasn't just an artist on the roster, he was family. And after Von's murder, in Atlanta on November 6, 2020, outside Monaco Hookah Lounge, that brotherhood allegedly fueled a spiral of retaliation that federal prosecutors now claim lies at the heart of Durk's case.
One of the closest motherfuckers to me told me, start rapping. He just found you some artists. So that made me kind of go hard, you know what I'm saying? But when I see Von, always been Von. Like, if Von was gonna be a rapper, a basketball player, a football player, Von was always gonna be Von. Like a good-hearted motherfucker. So he like, man, when I go on Breakfast Club.
But Von's impact went far beyond music. Durk saw something in him that reminded him of himself, the hunger, the authenticity, the willingness to be raw about the pain of street life while still carrying the respect that comes from surviving it. This wasn't some industry rollout or carefully manufactured. Image Von was the real deal straight from the trenches with stories you couldn't fake, and because of that, what started as a professional relationship between the two quickly grew into something much deeper.
Told me like 5 songs. He like, man, this shit, he said all shit weak. And I told him, I'm like, man, this is my favorite song right here.
What song?
And it's crazy. Crazy story.
Really?
That motherfucker dropped Crazy Story, started going crazy. We was on tour. We was on tour too. Put him on tour, I started bringing him out. Then shit, Von just became like, if Von was alive right now, he'd be like the biggest right now.
This revelation shows how quickly Van's talent was recognized and how rapidly. His career trajectory changed once Durk put the full weight of F behind him. What made their relationship unique in the hip-hop landscape was the genuine care and respect they had for each other beyond the business. Durk didn't just see Von as another artist to exploit for profit. He saw him as family, as someone whose success was directly tied to his own, and as someone whose well-being was his responsibility. This paternal protective instinct would ultimately become central to understanding why the alleged revenge plot took place. The creative dynamic between them was something special to witness. Van would come into the studio with raw energy and unfinished concepts, and Durk would help shape them into polished products without losing the authentic edge that made Van's music so compelling.
It's so crazy because Von used to come in the studio and be like, hey, finish this for me. I'll help him out, finish it for him. Then that motherfucker just caught. Like, he just started rapping, started listening to his shit. You be like, damn, alright. Come on, bitch, let's die here. Like that's how he is. He ain't like, what you think? What you think they gonna think? Come on, dad. I'm talking down my head. Go on here, bitch, die your whole head. Woo, come on, twin, come on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's dad. I'm like, fuck.
This collaborative process revealed something important. About their relationship, it wasn't a typical hierarchy. Sure, Durk was the established star and Von was the newcomer, but there was a mutual respect and freedom that let Von shine. Durk provided the platform, but Von's raw talent and authenticity were entirely his own. The bond went far beyond the studio. Durk took Von under his wing in every aspect of the game, teaching him how to handle the business side while still keeping his street credibility intact. This mentorship wasn't just about music, it was about survival in an industry that could be just as dangerous as the streets they came from. With Durk's backing, Von rose fast. In just a short time, he went from unknown to one of the most talked about names in drill. His storytelling, paired with Durk's connections and business moves, created the perfect storm that pushed him into stardom. But with that spotlight came heat from law enforcement, rival crews, and the dangers tied to Chicago's drill culture. The very authenticity that made Von special also made him a target. And when he was killed in Atlanta, it wasn't just the loss of a rising star, it was the breaking of a bond that had become central to both men's identities.
You know, one of my favorite rappers ever was King Von.
Yeah.
You had a great relationship with him, obviously.
Yeah.
Where were you when you got the call?
We was in Houston. We were shooting a video, I think. Yeah.
He was one of the most talented guys on the planet.
Somebody told me if you can copy an artist to be somebody for Halloween, he made it. He had a whole image, you know what I'm saying? And he lived what he lives. What he rapped about, he lived, but he was good-hearted at the same time, so it's like...
Durk's response to that phone call in Houston set off a chain of events that prosecutors now claim led directly to a murder-for-hire plot that could cost him his freedom for life. For Durk, the death of King Von wasn't just personal, it was an attack on everything he had built, everything he represented, and everyone he loved. In both the streets and hip-hop culture, there's an unwritten code. Loyalty demands retaliation. When someone you consider family is killed, especially under circumstances seen as unjust, the expectation is that there will be consequences. This code isn't only about violence, it's about respect, honor, and maintaining credibility in environments where showing weakness can be fatal. The federal government argues that Durk's grief and loyalty to Von crossed the line into criminal conspiracy. Instead of channeling his pain into music, they allege he used his resources and influence to orchestrate revenge, a move that claimed an innocent life and shattered multiple families. What makes the tragedy even heavier is the sense that Von's death might have been preventable. It started as a fight between Von and rapper, Quando Rondorial named Tiquian, Terrell Bowman. Before escalating into a shootout, Von was shot multiple times and died from his injuries. Rondo's associate Timothy Lul Tim Leaks was charged with Von's murder, but later cleared under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law in 2023. That dismissal only fueled the belief that the system had failed Von, intensifying the hunger for street justice, a hunger prosecutors say pushed Durk over the edge. From Durk's perspective, the legal system didn't deliver justice for his brother, and in a world where loyalty defines identity, the same bond that lifted Von into stardom is the bond that prosecutors allege pulled Durk into a conspiracy that could end his career and his freedom. This story represents the best and worst of hip-hop culture. On one hand, the mentorship, loyalty, and brotherhood between Durk and Von was real and powerful. On the other hand, the same street codes that built that bond also fueled cycles of violence that continued to destroy lives and communities. Now, as Durk sits in federal detention, the jail calls that surface. Online serve as a haunting reminder of what loyalty has cost him. Instead of fans celebrating Von's posthumous releases and Durk's continued rise, they're forced to watch the possible collapse of everything the two built together. Love this video? Click the cards on your screen for more.